What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Friday edition of Next Gen Jets. I am your host, Jack Cotter, along with my co-host, Josh Wilver. On tonight's episode, I believe it's our third episode for the Friday edition show. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, Jack. Excited for another edition of the Friday show. Not much going on in Jets land, but I still think we'll get into a couple big topics here, including the Breece Hall trade and much more. Excited to be on with you.
Of course, excited to be on with you too, Josh. Tonight. So, one really quick topic I want to dive into first before we really get set with the main focus on here tonight is Dan Campbell saying to the media basically stating of how if newly acquired Jets head coach Aaron Glenn can't turn this Jets team around, then nobody can. I really like the enthusiasm on Campbell on that, and I would love to trust him on that, except we don't know yet, right? Because we haven't seen what Glenn can do. He hasn't even stepped foot on an NFL or on MetLife turf yet to coach the Jets. I just hope he's right, and I feel like it's better him saying it than any other coach or basically any other personnel in the NFL, because I feel like because Campbell worked with him, right? Campbell was this defensive mind Campbell was this head coach alongside with Aaron Glenn, and Glenn was his defensive minded guy on that team, right? I feel like Glenn, from rebuilding that Lions defense from shambles from 2021, they had one of the worst ranked defenses in the league. Rising. Excuse me. And
you
then,
there, Jack?
Yeah, I just have a little bit of. But with this. All right, with this line, hopefully it should be good now. I just kept on cutting out for a little bit. But again, with this line, like I said, he built it back from shambles, right? Like they said, one of the worst defenses in the league back in 2021, and he built it up from the ashes, right? Especially with Detroit, historically known for being a terrible team in the NFL, having one of the best defenses in the NFL, not especially the NFC Championship game in 2024 or in 2023, but it still proves of how good a defense he had. That's just my opinion on what I think. I just hope Campbell's right. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I got two big takeaways from this. Number one, it's that obviously you like that one of the best head coaches in all of the NFL right now. You're right, a guy that took his team from worst to first is praising a guy that was on his staff the entire time that transformation was happening, the entire time that turnaround was happening. And he's saying that he is going to succeed in New York, which is what we want. We've missed the playoffs 15 years in a row. We got to have a head coach come in here. But my second thing that I'm taking away from this, and well, actually, before I want to touch on that, I mean, I wouldn't go into this with the negative mindset that we don't know what he can do. He hasn't coached a game on MetLife turf. We don't know what he can do with the Jets. I'd reverse that mindset, and I'd say, well, yeah, we haven't seen what he can do. So I'm excited to see what he can bring. I'm excited what he can add to this defense, if he can juice every last bit out of these players, if he can get a good scheme going. Most importantly for me, and I don't think we've had this in a while as a Jets team, can he have the locker room bond? Can he have a good, strong group of core players, of leaders, of captains? That's something you're going to miss with a guy like CJ Mosley going into retirement. He was not the best on the field, but he sure as heck was a glue guy in that locker room. So that's a big thing I'm thinking about needing from Aaron Glenn, not only on the field, but the physical presence on the defensive end, the mentality in the locker room. Those are my two big things from him. So I want the positive mindset going in. And number two, besides the damn Campbell praise, what this also proves to me is that, he's right. I think that, Jimmy Jets, thanks so much. 10 memberships.
Appreciate it, Jimmy Jets.
I do appreciate it. Appreciate the support. But back to my point with, where was I? Dan Campbell, is that, I think he's right. I think that Aaron Glenn is going to come in here and do a great job. He was top of my coaching candidates list. And if he can't turn this team around in 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5, but where else do the Jets possibly go? It'd be a 20-year, 20-year playoff drought at that point. And at that point, you've tried every option. I guess Woody Johnson selling the team might be the next step after that. But yeah, Jets fans, you've got to be on your last straw here. This team hasn't made the playoffs in either of our lifetimes, Jack. So if Aaron Glenn can't turn this around, who will?
I appreciate the comment from Jimmy. I agree. I want to touch on one of the that you said back um,
Cutting in and out,
again.
Jack.
Um,
Jimmy.
however, that I want to touch.
All right, you're in and out, Jack. I'll let you fix it up here for a second. But Jimmy, you said last time that I look like I'm asleep. I got a new lighting setup this time per your request, and so I hope I'm well lit this time. Hopefully, Jack's microphone can be working well by the time he gets back. But I guess I'll do a one-man show for just a little bit, unless Connor or Jack will come on with me. But that's all right. Let's talk a little bit about where the Jets would go if they wanted to go defensively at 7, because you could really, there's a lot of ways you could go here on the offensive side. You can go Mason Graham. Sorry, he's defensive side. You can go Tyler Warren. You can go Ted McMillan. But let's talk defensively, because really this Jets team does have a lot of gaps on the defensive end. Would it be Mason Graham? Would it be Shamar Stewart if you had both of them available at 7? I know the Jets are interested in Stewart, interested in both of them. They had defensive line coach Eric Washington go meet with him last week. And I think he's good and all, but if it were up to me, you got to take Mason Graham just because, of how much a guy like him can bring to the table, what his upsides are. Obviously, it wasn't a huge college career statistically for him. I think he did only have like 3.5 sacks. Jack, are you back here? Is the mic working?
Let's just hope here. Is it? Can you hear me right?
I can.
All right.
Sound back and better than ever. I was just talking about Mason Graham, Shamar Stewart, if they
Yeah.
were both there at 7. And I was talking about how Shamar Stewart could be a good possibility off the edge, presenting a little bit of speed. But I just like Mason Graham so much with his form. Even though it wasn't a huge college career in the statistics category,
Right.
he showed you more than enough overpowering offensive linemen for him to be good value at 7 there. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like your take on that. Except my personal opinion, it's just Mason Graham is a workhorse, right? I love his ability with his ability to watch his tape. I just love how he was able to stop the run. I think he was awesome at stopping the run for his defensive tackle. And I feel like that'd be great with pairing him with Quinton Williams, right? And especially with already how great Quinton is, I feel like that'd be a monster pick. I feel like that'd be almost a seven. If we were going to go the defensive route, I think I'd rather take Graham any day over Stewart. I'm not bashing on Stewart.
Right.
In my opinion, I'd just rather have Graham.
Now, do you think that defensive line is so bad right now that you would consider leapfrogging an offensive, skill position guy or lock down Armand Membu as the future of the right tackle for the Jets? Would you consider it that bad? Would you be that desperate on the defensive line end to consider leapfrogging one of these offensive guys?
I wouldn't say so. I think we really need more offensive guys on this team. Whether that whether that be in a guy like Tyler Warren or Ted McMillan or Amron Membu or maybe even Will Campbell or maybe even a guy like Travis Hunter if he falls to us, right? I feel like
Oh,
this defensive line isn't really as bad as people think it is, right? You have Jermaine Johnson coming off that Achilles injury. I'm a little skeptical to see how he can play this season. I am excited to see. Again, I'm a little skeptical to see what he can do coming off that Achilles injury, especially because sometimes that can be a career-killing injury, right? Then you have Will McDonald on the other side, right? And you got McDonald who just came off a very successful 2024 second year in the NFL. Had a little trouble with the run game, which I hope if the Jets get Graham, hopefully that could help a lot with the run game situation a lot. Because if you look at Graham, right, he's able to shed the blocks well. He's able to get off those offensive linemen well and just make the wrap for the tackle. I love his arm extension as well. If you see that on tape, his ability to just tackle even if he's not even like right directly in front of the guy. I just like the power that Graham has, right? And I feel like although yes, I would love to get Mason Graham at 7, I wouldn't be mad about it at all. I wouldn't leapfrog him over an offensive guy. I think we're in more need of an offensive guy as of right now than a defensive guy.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I just think that
Yeah.
there's so many more holes you need to fill on offense. Even though you do have what's shaping up to be an all right secondary, your defensive line does need as much help as it can get over there. Guys, before we move on, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, both free ways to help out the channel if you can. Following Jimmy Jets leads, he just gifted 10. I really appreciate it. We'll get into possible Breece Hall trades. We'll get into an athletics mock draft, and then we'll take your calls and your chats. So get those questions in now, and we'll return to them a little later. Jack, I wanted to touch on 2 quick things you said in that last little bit you had there. Number one, if Travis Hunter were to fall to 7, in no possible world would I think the Jets take him, even though he just won the Heisman. I don't think you can do it if you're the Jets. Because, first of all, I think it's unrealistic to think that he plays both ways in the pros. And if he does, I don't think he's going to be good enough to sustain playing both ways, even if he does start out there. I think that he's an above average wide receiver, but where he really excels is corner. So if you were to draft him and his main position would be corner, I mean, why would you even do that when you have Sauce Gardner, when you just signed Brandon Stevenson, when you have Michael Carter? So you're not going to, if his best position of the two is corner, and then you're going to make him play wide receiver, just get Ted McMillan at that point. So I would not want Travis Hunter. That was my first point. My second point, you forgot. So I'll swing it back to you, Jack. My bad. I forgot about my second
so
point was.
the thing about Travis Hunter, right, is he's not at all my first pick, right? I don't think he's even in my top 5. My top 5, I think I said this last week. It was Warren, Campbell, Membu, McMillan, or Graham. I think those were my top 5, I believe, last week. Something along those lines. But, with the guy like Travis Hunter, like you said, he's a great athlete. I don't see the Jets getting him at 7. I'm just saying if he's available, I would not count him out. Just like how I wouldn't count out the Jets getting a quarterback as in Shedeur Sanders, right? A lot of people are saying, oh, Jets already got their franchise quarterback in Justin Fields, or at least quarterback of the future in Justin Fields. You can't always count it out, though. Just like how you can't always count out the Jets getting a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round, whether that be Will Howard or Kyle McCord. You just can't count it out. Although I do not see it, although it's pretty unrealistic for the Jets, you can't ever count it out, especially if he falls to 7.
There's no world in which the Jets go quarterback at 7.
I mean, you can't ever count it out, like I said, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think any Jet fans believes it, but it's.
I mean, you just don't need a quarterback. You've got 2 that are going to play this year. Why would you ever draft a quarterback? There's not even close to a good quarterback class.
Yeah, I'd rather get one next season as a good quarterback class, whether that be Garrett Nussmeier or someone like along the lines of that. And speaking of another side of the offensive side of the ball, I want to touch base on a player that has been having a lot of buzz the last recently, right? And that name is Breece Hall, the star running back for the Jets. So far, star running back for the Jets. That many people say. A lot of people have split opinions on him. I think he's good. I want the Jets to keep him. I want the Jets to give him at least one more shot. Yes, that ACL injury did decrease his play a little bit, but and again, looking at the tape, his vision isn't that great. But I'm not counting out Breece Hall one bit, right? I absolutely love Breece Hall, and I think he has the potential to be a top running back in the NFL like he was supposed to be last season. And some potential trade options for him. Like I want to go over maybe if the Jets were to trade him, maybe see some scenarios where you see the Jets trade him. So Josh, I'll hand it over to you first. If the Jets were to trade Breece Hall, is there any possible destinations or any scenarios you see happening with him?
Yeah, I think my main team right now would be the Bengals because they'll contend this year. They have a strong wide receiver core, obviously Joe Burrow at the helm of the offense. And they'll continue to contend in future years, just signing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to long-term contract extensions. But they don't have a true running back one, And I think that's where Breece Hall could come into play with them, especially if they can get him for good value. He's still on his rookie contract, is Breece. I think that he would fit well in the Bengals scheme after they just lost Joe Mixon in offseason to go to the Texans. There's a couple other teams I could see him going to, maybe Panthers, Jaguars, Browns, but these teams aren't really contending, so I don't see them giving up much now because they don't really want to win now. So if I had to say my number one team would be the Bengals, but I just don't see him stepping back up to his pre-ACL tear level, becoming one of those top running backs in the league. Maybe if he does never have that career-altering injury, I don't know how it would work out. But I think he's lost a bit of speed and a little bit of dynamic since that ACL tear. And only look at the stats. He went from 5.8 yards a carry down to 4.5, now down to 4.2 this past year. 66.1 yards a game, decreased all the way down to 54 yards a game. And now that, obviously, you go from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers, young quarterback, inexperienced to rely on the run game, and another guy who didn't run it twice at all last season. So that factors in a little bit. Looks like we've got Connor and Chris joining us. Anything that you guys want to add? What's up, guys?
Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just excited to get us all here in one place, all the whole Next Gen Jet crew, and just talk some Jets, baby.
Let's do it. Super happy to hop on. Yeah, I thought we could. It's the first time, if we actually think about it, that we've all been together on the same show.
True.
So super happy that we're all able to be here, and looking forward to talking some draft. What do you guys feel? I'm gonna throw it to you first, Josh. What are your thoughts on Ashton Genty?
Yeah, see, I see it because of how well he played in college. Remember, he wasn't in a Power 5 conference, even though he did dominate it. Good point, Indy Jets in the chat. Hit that like, hit subscribe if you can. Free ways to help the channel. He did tear it up in college, and even when he did play a team like Oregon, he still went off. He still had those record-breaking runs. Whenever he had the ball in his hands, he had the ability to turn one loose for an 80-yard touchdown run. The thing is, the Jets have so many needs this offseason that running back isn't the way to go. If you don't trade Breece Hall, how many touches is he really going to get? The Jets already have 3 that you can hand the ball off to in the running back room. Not going to say they're all solid options, but you do have 3. And you can't say that at many other positions. You can't say that at tight end. You can't say that at right tackle. You can't say that at the defensive line. I get Genty is a generational talent, and I do think he'll be a great player in the pros with his dynamics. Do I think he'll be so consistent that he's worth the number 7 pick when you have this many instabilities around your roster? No. I think he'll be a good player in this league. I don't think he's worth going for at 7 here when you have so many other needs to fill.
Question to you, Josh. Is this team competing for the Lombardi Trophy this season?
No. The Jets.
Perfect. Okay, perfect.
Absolutely not.
Okay, perfect.
I would be genuinely shocked.
Yes. Okay. Same here.
Okay.
So you just explained a perfect reason why the Jets should draft Ashton Genty if he's available with the 7th overall pick. These holes do not matter. Ashton Genty is someone when you don't have the win now roster to go ahead and build a roster to go win the Lombardi Trophy. You take the best player available, and that is who Ashton Genty is. Talk about building sustained success. How about you bring in the generational talent? You said with your own words there, Josh, who fits that bill perfectly for this team. Detroit drafted Jahmyr Gibbs with the 14th pick in the 2022 draft. They caught a lot of slack for it, 1,000% with Montgomery under contract, but Detroit wouldn't think twice about making that move today. The Jets should be valuing premium players over premium positions.
Connor, I'm shocked if they're competing for the Lombardi Trophy. I'm shocked if Ashton Genty is there at 7. And there's no reason you'd trade up for him. So, I mean, you're relying on 6 teams in front of you that are even worse, that don't want to win now as well, that would want the generational talent to pass him up to get to 7?
What? Sorry, what'd you say? I lost you there for a second. My headphones.
You think that 6 other teams that are worse than the Jets that don't think they're going to win now, I don't think any of them do, are all going to pass up on Ashton Genty to get him to 7.
If he's there, you take him.
No, still no. I want to build the foundation of this offensive line. Great running backs come and go, Connor. When was the last time we saw a great running back have sustained success in this league?
Saquon Barkley in 2018, who now Ashton Genty is the most talented running back people have scouted since Saquon in 2018.
Okay, I don't think Ashton Genty is Saquon Barkley. I hate to say it.
You just said he was a generational talent, though.
Almost less than 30 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' rushing record for yards in the FBS in a single season. Nearly 2,000 yards after the contract. Most missed tackles in the league.
Yeah, well, I just don't. I mean, I think he's going to be great in this league, but do you think he can have sustained success as long as Saquon
Who else
Barkley
are you
had?
taking at 7?
Armand Mambu to solidify the offensive line for the next 5 years.
Warren.
No.
Love you, Chris.
I would either, at this point, it's either Genty, Warren, Loveland, or Ted. Those are the 4 guys. Okay, Jack. Josh. No, I'm not talking about Membu because Membu is someone who was a 2nd-round pick before the combine, and he goes in and he has these crazy measurables, and now all of a sudden he's this can't miss offensive line prospect. I mean, I just think how much of the combine is put into the Membu stock. I don't think a lot of his hype has to do with the actual product on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but he was so freakishly athletic that it's not often you see a guy that.
So you just want to draft a pure athlete?
Yeah, because I think offensive line is the way to go here because you don't need skill position guys to win now.
The Jets
It's
aren't
not
winning
just
now,
about.
though.
It's not just about
I
winning
know.
now.
You
It-
don't win now.
the point I wanted to push back on with Connor is Connor. I
I'm
know you fell in
yeah.
love with Ashton Jeanty overnight, but the thing is,
Not
you were
overnight, yes.
you were talking about Lombardi. Like it's not about winning a Lombardi trophy. It's about making the wild card round, being competitive with this team, so we can have some confidence in Glenn and Muji going forward, and maybe have our franchise guy in Justin Fields. So although yes, we're not built to win a Lombardi, we're certainly not tanking. So we can find that happy medium. This is the problem with Jeff fans. They either think we're all in, or you make
No.
you make crazy moves because you're not winning.
Taking Ashton Jeanty does not indicate you're tanking at all, Chris. That shows you're trying to
No,
build a
that's
foundation.
not what I said. That's not what I said.
But you were just referring to my Jeanty comment when you said
So
there's
I
a
was
difference.
referring. What I was saying about Genty is, just because we're not in a position to win the Super Bowl doesn't mean we don't address our needs and try to make ourselves competitive. I mean, we have solid running backs. I don't see them trading Breece. So if they trade Breece, then that's more of a conversation. But they,
Correct.
Breece deserves a chance to go out and shine this year with all the talent he has and much better coaching and maybe a more solidified offensive line. And I think Warren is the guy at 7. You cannot pass up on a guy who has a chance to become top 3 in his position group in the NFL and who can make an impact in the game in all aspects of your offense. He can be a safety blanket for Justin Fields. He can help block. He can help the right tackle. And he can even come in and wildcat. And he can throw a couple and get some trick plays. When have we seen an exciting Jets offense? We never have. Warren can be the first step, along with good play calling, to make this offense exciting. Warren is the guy at 7. You cannot pass on Warren. He can't miss. You must take Warren at 7. I don't want to see him take anybody else. Ted said he won't watch film. You can't teach that.
Do you think Terrell Owens wanted to watch film, Chris? Do you think Terrell Owens was watching football in his free time? You think any of those guys want to watch film? So that's what I first have to say about the Tet comment. Now, when it comes to Ashton Jeanty and what you were saying overall there, Ashton Jeanty, there's a strong chance he's going to be the best football player available. And you say you're talking about, trying to make this offense exciting. Hence Ashton Jeanty over Tyler Warren.
Running back is not a need.
When have we seen someone average 7 yards per carry at the college level? When have we seen that? Someone who's
I hate to say it, but his competition wasn't exactly mind-boggling.
The numbers are. Josh, he was 30 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' rushing record in the FBS.
I'm not denying. I'm
not saying he's not great. I'm just saying he could have played some better defenders.
I get what you're saying, Jack. Let's get you in here quickly. Where do you stand?
For the Ashton Jeanty, right? I mean, Ashton Jeanty, like I said, he's a great running back. Again, like you were saying, take an athlete, or I forget, you were saying something along the lines of taking a pure athlete over I think something along the lines of that. But I agree with Chris and Josh here, right? I think Jeanty's great. I think he's going to do good things in this league. I think the Jets don't need a running back, though. That's just my opinion. I think we need way other things than this. Of course, I may be wrong. I'll accept if I'm wrong. If Jeanty balls out with the Raiders, I'll accept I'm wrong, right? Like Chris said, if we trade Breece Hall, it's a different story, but we're not. I don't see them trading Breece Hall this year. I see, like Aaron Glenn literally said himself, he has a spot for all 3 of these guys on the roster this year. He has an assignment for all 3 of these guys. He's going to utilize all 3 of these running backs on this roster. I don't see the Jets getting Jeanty this year. I have them either getting Warren at 7 or an offensive lineman at 7 or even McMillan. I don't want the Jets to get Jeanty. I think he's a great player, but I think the Jets have many other needs right now at 7. I don't think you can just waste that on a running back.
Let me get in here quick. Let me get in here quickly before I get to some super chats. Let me just add one thing. Jack, funny you mentioned that because he actually deflected a question about Breece Hall when given that response. When he was asked about Breece Hall from ESPN's Rich Zamini, I'll try to pull up the quote. He said, I'll just paraphrase here. This is what he said. He said, Hall is in a good space mentally. However, we're going to try to utilize all 3 running backs on this roster. So the way you framed it is kind of as if he was asked about the running back room as a whole. He kind of deflected on what Breece Hall's role is going to look like. Hence, a potential trade fit. Guy in his last year of his contract. Broncos in need of a running back. The connections between all the organizations.
But,
certainly something to look out for.
Connor,
We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it going with the Breece talk in a second. We're going to get to some comments, super chats, questions. Super chats, gifted memberships get you into our raffle. We appreciate everyone's support here on the show. Get your questions, get your super chats in, pin comment if you want to call in. Indy Jets comes in with $2. Appreciate you, Indy. This is looking like a Bobby Midnight show. LOL, JK. Indeed, appreciate your support as always. And our buddy Jake Asman tuning in. Jake, how you doing? Appreciate you hanging around, spending some time with us here on this Friday night. It says Friday Night Jets Talk. Wow, nice job, fellas. Jake, appreciate you, $5 as always. Appreciate you. And Yeah, I know we've been talking, Jake. Whenever you're around on a Sunday night, a Friday night, a Saturday night when we do these shows, you could text me whenever, and we love to have you on. So, Jake, we appreciate you as always. Mr. Forte says the whole Breece Hall thing makes me think of Bill Parcells. Jets had a 1,000-yard rusher at the time named Adrian Morrell. A bell cow Parcells moved on from Morrell and brought in Curtis Martin. We're going to try to switch the brand here for a second so we don't cover everything. There we go. It says whole Breece Hall thing makes me okay. So the Jets had 1,000 and the Jets moved on from Morrell and brought in Curtis Martin. Chris, thoughts on this comp and relating it to a potential Breece Hall trade?
That comp is certainly interesting. You think of Curtis Martin could be a guy like Ashton Jeanty, but I'm more confident in Breece Hall. I think he when at his best and when with the coaching, he has proper coaching. He could be more than just an 1,000-yard guy. He could be 1,500 yards and more than 12 touchdowns. So we're gonna see how he does when he used properly this season. I'm more than willing to give him this season. And if they do trade him, they better be getting at least a second for comp.
Josh?
Yeah, I want to, excuse me, I want to add on this Breece Hall situation here. If you were to draft Ashton Jeanty and have that running back room of Breece Hall and Ashton Jeanty, how much would you see out of each of them? Breece Hall was used best in space, was used best with weapons around him, used best in a good offense with good scheming, which honestly the Jets haven't had. So let's see what that looks like if the Jets are going to be able to bring that this year. But if you do draft Ashton Hall, here's the thing, Connor, the draft is meant to fill your needs, to get you as a better overall well-rounded team. I get that you want to take talent there, but I think that if you do draft Ashton Hall and you don't trade Breece Hall, that running back room is just going to get so crowded. There's going to be unhappy faces. I think that this Jets team has other holes they need to fill. I mean, I guess running back, but if you do go running back and then you keep the roster constructed the way it is, you have 4 guys there. I mean, I guess somebody's going to have to get cut. I guess that would be Isaiah Davis, which wouldn't be a huge cut.
No.
I want to
cut Isaiah Davis.
Okay, so then who'd you cut?
Get him there first. Get him there first.
So if
you have 4 guys.
If the Jets trade Breece Hall, I think that's because they have confidence in one of the other backs in this room. I don't think they're looking to pick Jeanty, and at this point, it's hell. I'm where I'm at right now. Hell no to Jeanty. We have too much other needs. We need pass catcher. Take Warren at 7.
Breece Hall, and it's approaching in his prime, even though he is, his production has been steadily declining. If you do give him the necessary workload, he'll do good things with it. You don't need Ashton Jeanty here.
Well, he did have a necessary workload last season, and he fumbled the ball 6 times.
He had it down here. He had it down here. He had it down here.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, when has he had a good season? Like, I think people act like Breece Hall is the holy grail of this organization. Let's be real. Breece Hall has not lived up to second-round hype, the hype he was receiving as a running back coming out whatsoever. This is a Jet fan base that is trying to do every single thing and I'm in this boat. I like Breece Hall. I have nothing against the guy personally, and I think he's a solid running back. I would take a 3rd-round pick over Breece Hall. I think Cameron Scadaboo is someone you can get in the 3rd round who from Arizona State, who's a complete bruiser for you. You can kind of get to essentially replace Breece Hall. Here's the thing when you guys talk about these, Warren at 7, Membu at 7, and, why not Jeanty at 7, why the Jets shouldn't take Jeanty at 7. You guys are acting like the Jets have 1 draft pick this entire draft. Jets have multiple draft picks. You can't waste your
highest pick, though.
Yeah, you can't waste your highest pick on some of the guys that you
okay. Please
so
don't
why
say
don't you
the
go
word,
Scadaboo in the 3rd instead of Jeanty?
Please don't say the word waste when it comes to drafting a Heisman finalist who shattered every single FCS and FBS rushing record and was 30 yards away from
it's
breaking
waste because it's not a
Sanders'
need.
record.
It's not a need. That's why it's waste. I mean, I know he's a great
player. If you
player,
trade Breece Hall, it's a need. You take the best player available. Again, this team is not in the win now window. You got to crunch it.
Matter.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Just because they're still going to be competitive. They're not tanking. They're not going to suck.
Okay, so then how does tanking affect the Jets picking Ashton Jeanty?
Because you said they're not in a win now mode. Like, what do you mean by that?
Okay, what I mean by that is when the Jets had Aaron Rodgers, it was you got to overpay for all these veterans to make this guy happy. Get everything in here. You have a 2-year window to win. If not, you lose the guy. You move on. You have to start another rebuild. This team is in a rebuild right now. They need to.
I would say it's just a retool. We're not in a full rebuild. A full rebuild would be.
I never said it was a full rebuild. I said they're rebuilding. What does retool even mean? They're rebuilding. That is the term.
Retool means you're a couple of guys away, and you're still finding yourselves as a team.
I'm sorry,
which
this
is why
team is
making
not-
the wild card
No,
is
come
so
on.
important. We're
Come
finding
on.
ourselves.
They're not making
This
a
team
wild
is new
card,
regime.
Chris.
This team is not a couple guys away. Come on, they have a new head coach, first year in the room, first year in the role. You don't have a quarterback, which number one, you need a quarterback to win
Yeah,
football games. You need a quarterback to win football games. We don't know what this defense is going to look like. I think the edge position is just assume that the Jets are stacked there. Meanwhile, you have one guy who can't stop the running, got you 10 sacks in a Robert Saleh-led defensive scheme. I think this team is a lot further away than I think a lot of people.
Why is everybody so
disagree.
high on Fields? I'm just not seeing it.
Same.
He's like at his peak. He's like a bit above average.
I disagree with that. But his floor is so low. His floor is.
I mean,
insanely
what
low.
am I missing here? He's like a guy that scrambles and he has like an all right. He's
That's
like
why
not
you use that,
too
Josh.
accurate.
Excuse me for pardon the interruption here, but like
No, come in.
that's why you use that here, right? Like he may not be the best at passing, right? And that's why you use his ability to run. I totally disagree with
Well,
that
Chris
comment
just
there.
said we're a
I don't
couple
think
of
Jake,
guys
we
away.
appreciate the $2, my friend. Jake, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. That
Appreciate you,
gets you
Jake.
up to 3 raffle entries, guys. Super chats, memberships, if you can. Great way to support us here. If not, smash the like, hit subscribe. That's completely free. Keep your questions coming. Pin comment if you want to call into the show. Yeah, Jack, sorry. Go ahead with what you were saying.
No problem. But as I was saying, right, is I feel like I get Fields isn't the perfect quarterback. He's far from perfect. He needs to work on his throwing mechanics. He needs to work on a lot of stuff. But I feel like you need to use the things that he's best at most. Excuse me. And I think that's running the ball, right? Especially if you have this stacked running back room in Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis, who all three of them can be used differently. Braylon Allen is a pure power up the middle guy. Hall Davis can be used for outside. Davis can even be used for inside. He can be used for both. That's why I like Davis so much, and I love Davis's vision. I love the way he's able to carry the ball aggressively. And I feel like if you have all of these three traits in the running back room with a mobile quarterback and Justin Fields, you have to use it the way it is, right? And I feel like this is the thing, right? Especially with a lot of teams, they try to coaches. I think I've said this before, but I want to really emphasize what I mean by saying this. A lot of coaches in this league have their own vision before they even get to a team, right? Think of let's take an example. I'm not just going to name a random coach. Let's just say NFL team hires a head coach. The guy he's like, okay, I want to run a pass offense here. This is my style offense. This is what I do best. This is what gets me into the playoffs. But he doesn't know any
That's
of the
what
team
the
players'
Jets did
traits on this
hiring
team.
Nate Hackett.
But anyway,
well, Jack, here's the thing. You can't call the Jets running back room stacked by any means. You have someone who is coming off an insanely down season, who fumbled the ball 6 times, who vision is completely broken, who really showed he can't accelerate. The speed has been hindered 1,000%, couldn't break tackles, and you have 2 unproven guys. How is this room stacked?
okay, maybe not stacked, but they're solid, right? And I think
how are they solid?
If Tanner, because
you can't say they're not.
Look at this guy. He's powerful when he has the tools. He's able to get out there, right? Especially look at the holes. His vision may not be perfect, but look at him. When he does find a hole, he's out there.
So 1 out of the 25 times,
his first run season was a 40-yard explosion because he found a hole. If he finds these holes, if he has these guys, he will find an open hole. And I'm telling you, if he's used right,
bounce him
outside, he'll find holes. That's why you use Braylon Allen for the inside guy.
There's potential here. I think that's what Jack means. This isn't a bona fide great running back room by any means, but it can be good. It has the potential to be.
Okay, Josh, so then how is it a solid? How is it a stacked unit if they have potential and they haven't shown it?
3 solid guys.
I'm not saying
Chris, how have they shown they're
solid?
Solid? I love Isaiah Davis. He's going to be the best running back in this room come 5 years from now. However, he has not shown enough to be solidified as a top running back. Braylon Allen had 1 solid game, and he's going to be the next Brendan Jacobs.
He was RB2. We don't even know how to use RB1. What makes you think we're going to use RB2 and Braylon Allen?
Okay, so then what makes you think they're going to be able to use RB2 this season?
Because they have new coaching.
How do you know the coaches are going to do a great job? That is the thing.
I don't know they're going to do great, but they have to be better than last year, man.
Who knows if they're going to be able to even scheme open the run game? I hope they are, but who knows that?
That's true. Jeff Olbrich.
Can I respond to Josh's thing on Fields earlier quickly?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so Josh, you say, what am I missing on Fields? First of all, you can't really judge Fields off the pass. Aaron Glenn has said this too, which is why part of the reason why I'm so confident in him. But in Chicago, Fields played behind horrible offensive line. The Bears basically ignored O-line, so you can't trust the quarterback to develop their mechanics, develop their ability to go through progressions when their O-line is horrible and they're running for their life. The only reason why Fields was able to flash his elite athleticism because he had no O-line with the Bears, and then with the Steelers, I feel like the Steelers were holding him back and telling him to, check the ball down too much and play conservative. Because if you look at the tape,
He can't push the ball downfield. That's the thing.
No, even Glenn
doesn't have the accuracy
even Glenn
to
has mentioned specifically trusting Fields and letting him running the offense.
Okay, Robert Saleh pretty much said the same
So
thing.
he's going to
about
be
Zach
great on
Wilson.
deep.
Yeah, Robert Saleh said the same thing about Zach Wilson. Aaron Glenn, a first-time head coach, instilling faith in Justin Fields tells me nothing about who Fields is as a player.
Okay, here's the thing, Chris. Zach Wilson could run, and Zach Wilson could throw the ball deep. So were the Jets holding him back? And if he had a good offensive line, would he be the guy right now?
No, but why
not? Why not? I mean, I'm seeing some similarities here. I'm seeing some similarities here. You said he was at a terrible offensive line. Jets had a terrible offensive line when Zach Wilson came in, running quarterback, can throw the ball down.
Chris, you're mentioning
what you're saying.
Chris, you're mentioning valid excuses, I think is what I'm going to call them here regarding what Fields has done in the past. But again, I get that 1,000%. I think Fields, I'll say this, he has a better chance of being the Jets franchise quarterback than Marcus Mariota. That's just me. Compared to the other options, he has the best chance. He's a low risk, high reward type move for this team.
All I'm saying is don't sleep on Fields.
Well,
do not sleep on him.
There's a difference between sleeping on someone and saying they're going to be the given answer. Like,
but Josh,
it's like a 10% chance. He's like the guy past these 2 years.
That's too low.
Chris, what has he shown though? That's you're making these excuses.
Chris,
he hasn't shown anything that
solidifies. Wake me up when Justin Fields starts throwing leading methodical Jets fourth quarter comeback drives. Wake me up because I'll be sleeping for now.
All right, I got you.
I don't get the foregone conclusion with these guys. Someone who hasn't shown anything throughout their NFL career, who could be a potential trade target. I wrote a column about this earlier for JetsXFactor.com. Kyle Pitts being floated around as a name. Jack, how would you feel about him?
I don't mind that, right? Especially because Pitts is very athletic. I love his athleticism. I love his hands, love his ability to catch a ball in the contested route. However, I feel like we haven't seen much out of Fields except his rookie season, and I feel like over the course of that, it's been 4 years since we've really seen Pitts shine in the NFL, and that's why I'm a little skeptical on this because who knows, 4 years could change a lot of things, right? Especially because the Falcons didn't really utilize him well after his rookie season, and I'm not counting it out whatsoever. I love Kyle Pitts. His college days were absolutely amazing. Loved watching him. Super entertaining guy, super athletic guy. But here's the thing. Would you really, I don't know, would you really trust a guy who really just had a great college season last season, or trust a guy that hasn't really been utilized well? We haven't really seen much in 4 years. For me personally, I'm going to go with the guy in college, right? Whether that be Tyler Warren, Elijah Arroyo, Colston Loveland. I think I'm really looking forward to this draft here. But hey, Kyle Pitts is another great player. But except my only issue is we haven't seen much out of him since his rookie season. But if he does land on the Jets, he's tight end one no matter what. There's no way he's back up behind Jeremy Rucker or Stone Smart. It's just my personal opinion, I'd rather just go the young gun route, but I would not be mad one bit if the Jets.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Chris, fire away.
I agree with Jack there. I mean, he was obviously like underused and not utilized properly with the Falcons, but when have we been able to turn players that have been underutilized and bad into good? But now that's the hope for what we're going to be able to do, I guess. So I would like Kyle Pitts because that means you don't have to take tight end at 7. You can address other needs. I would take Warren at 7. I don't think the Jets are going to trade for Kyle Pitts. Do you think the Falcons would trade them though?
We'll get into that in a little after we get Josh's thoughts here. Yeah, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, Connor, I think that I think the guys that spoke before me are right. Like, we haven't seen what Kyle Pitts' full potential looks like. And that's part of the reason I wouldn't trade for him, even though he does have upside. But the other reason is because of how much late round tight end depth that this draft carries. Why would you need to give up draft assets when you can get Ferguson, Harold Fannin Jr., Gunnar Helm, all these guys that are in 3rd through 4th rounds in this draft where you can get good value here. And if you want to, in my opinion, reach on Tyler Warren at 7, which I don't think the Jets should do, but I think they very well may. I think that if you do that, there's just so many options to go tight end in the draft. You don't need to give up assets for Kyle Pitts, an unproven guy.
I'm not a big Kyle Pitts fan. I'm just going to come out and I'm going to say this right now. He's an athletic freak, good hands, route running's embarrassing. Doesn't create much separation on his own. Okay. I mean, the highest drafted tight end in NFL history hasn't lived up to that buzz, over 1,000 yards his first rookie season. Okay. What I said in my article for JetX is like, there's a reason he won the Mackey Award and he was selected 4th overall. His athleticism, he certainly has something in the tank. We just haven't seen it since his rookie season. I said a fair price I would be on board with would be a conditional 5th round pick that turns into a 4th if he catches over 650 yards next season. I think that could be a fair asking price.
I would do that immediately.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Josh, what about you?
What does he have? 1 year left on his deal?
5th year option, which is $11 million. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the 5th isn't in. What would we say? 5th upgraded to a 4th? Is that what we were talking about?
So it would be a 5th round pick, but if he catches, if he records 650 yards, it
Just
turns into a
clarifying
4th. Yeah.
All right. I don't like it. I just think I'd rather go draft here. I mean,
You can
a
still
5th round
draft.
pick isn't much, but a 5th round pick isn't much, which is why I could see it happening. But I mean, yeah, you're right. We do need some sort of tight end help here.
The whole thing getting Pitts would be that you don't have to, you can gives you space to use your picks on other needs instead of tight end. I mean, that'll be the beauty of getting Warren for me. I mean Pitts for me. Maybe like I'm in love with Tyler Warren at 7, so I'm pretty hell bent on taking him unless some crazy variable changes from now until the draft. But if we want to take, say, Membu at 7 and they're dead set on doing that, and they have to have a plan for tight end. So I mean, I'd be on board with Kyle Pitts and you draft Membu at 7.
I mean, yeah, if he is going to give you the level of production catching 650 yards, then sure, I'd be fine with giving up a 4th round pick for it.
Jack, Jack, why do you keep muting yourself every? Like, why is your mic muting every single time someone's talking? Just keeps muting.
I just feel like the audio is a little too heavy. Do I need to turn it down a little bit, or is it fine?
No, you're good. Just keep talking.
All right. So I don't mind the idea. Like I said, Kyle Pitts hasn't shown much since his rookie season, so I would be skeptical on that. But if let's say we were in a universe where the Jets did trade for him, I wouldn't be that mad, right? Especially because I feel like that Pitts, has shown a lot of talent already when he has been throwing the ball. Like I said, he has hands. He has great route running abilities, and he has that speed in a tight end, right? And the only thing is, right, an upside for that trade would be you can discuss other needs, like Chris said, in the draft, other than tight end at 7. Of course, you can get your blocker and Jackson Hawes maybe in the 6th round, still get that guy. But if you're trading for a 4th, maybe you use that for another receiver, maybe you use that for an O-lineman, maybe you use that for a safety. That just opens the doors for lots of other needs. So I wouldn't be mad about it at all. I'm just saying that's not my top priority at the moment.
Chris, I don't think we ever got your full thoughts on would you want to trade Breece Hall and where you would want him to go?
No, I would not want to trade Breece Hall, so I would just shut that down immediately. But if God forbid they did, and by the way, if they trade Breece Hall, I think it's because they have faith in Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis both to take big steps up. I don't think that means they're going Genty at 7 by any means. But so I wouldn't want to trade Breece, and if they do, I would ask for at least a 2nd round pick in compensation. But Josh, I wanted to ask you a question real quick about what do you think? Why do you think Warren would be a reach? What about Warren don't you like at 7?
I mean, I get that he's like this 3-in-1 value kind of pick that can overall do everything. And I like him in that respect, but I don't think that tight end's this position that you need to get to. And Tyler Warren, what did he emerge as a 5th-year senior, I think. I don't think that
to be fair, he was a converted quarterback.
He was a converted. Okay, but he's never going to take snaps at quarterback.
He was a quarterback throughout his high school football career. That's what took him a little long to adjust, to be fair. I'm not I think Tyler Warren is going to be the pick. I don't hate it. It's just I think he's a little overrated right now by the fan base. He's automatically assumed as this crazy good blocker. I mean, the technique overall, if you go back and watch him, needs a lot of work. How is that going to transition into the next?
Our tight end coach used to be an O-line coach, too.
That doesn't mean he's going to be a good coach.
Yeah, but it can help him with it. It certainly helps with his technique. Yes, no, something if he's coaching.
Okay, like you're trusting a tight end coach who really does not have much of accomplished resume to turn Tyler Warren into a stout blocker. Like is that what I'm hearing?
I'm saying he can help shore up his.
Chris, I've never seen someone have so much confidence in a first-time coaching staff that is not coached one game.
As Jack would say, we've never seen him touch the MetLife turf.
we've seen so bad like this. The way he's already presented himself, and this regime has already gone about what they're doing. It already gives me more confidence in the last regime. Like the way I think they're building this the right way already, which gives me faith in what they're going to be able to do on the field as coaches.
I mean, if the last regime is Jeff Ulbrich as the interim head coach for Robert Saleh,
Pretty bad.
before that Adam Gase, then
Yeah.
I've got some confidence too.
For sure.
In those respects, the bar's set pretty low, Chris.
Yeah, keep the super chats and memberships coming, please, if you can. Great way to support the channel. We appreciate it. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Keep your questions coming. Super chats come up immediately. If you want to call in, you can do with the pinned comment. Mr. Forte comes in with $2. Appreciate you, Mr. Forte. Says Jets Talk Future is in good hands with you, fellas. Mr. Forte,
Thanks,
appreciate
Forte.
that. Appreciate all your support here on the show. We'll go to this comment quickly here from Rover, who says Mike Mayer hasn't reached his full potential yet. Jack, thoughts on Mike Mayer as a potential trade target?
I haven't really done much discussion on it. He's a tight end, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, like I said, I don't really know much about him. So I don't really have a strong opinion on this because I don't know much about him. But I think my overall standpoint, just draft a tight end. I don't want to trade for a tight end this year. Even if we're talking about Kyle Pitts, I don't want to trade for anybody. I want to draft someone in the draft this year.
Josh?
21 receptions for 156 yards. What are we giving up here?
I think they're saying 5th or 6th round pick. I don't understand the hype around this guy.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Chris?
If they trade for a tight end like Pitts or Mike Mayer, it would signal that they really want to go Membo at 7. But I think they're going to go Warren at 7. I don't think they're going to trade for a tight end. But Mayer is a guy who's interesting because obviously they took Bowers and he kind of got buried in the Raiders tight end room. So he has untapped potential, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to trade on that when this is a stacked tight end class, and B, I think you're getting your tight end with the 7th overall pick this season.
Chris, one quick thing. I don't know if your mic is hooked up to StreamYard, so just head over to your audio settings quickly and make sure the mic's plugged in, and let me know if you get it figured out. It might be, and it just sounded a little low. If not, I could boost your volume. Look, like these guys are fine trade targets. I don't hate them at the right price. Like Jack, what are your thoughts on maybe you go with a Noah Fant, a Dallas Goedert type guy, 2 veterans you might want to try to get in the building if you want to go the trade route?
I have no problem with that, right? Like I said, it's not ideal for me this year. Like I said, I wouldn't want to trade for one, but it'd be nice to have another veteran. It'd be nice to have a veteran in the room, right? Stone Smart, I guess you can call him. I guess he's had experience in the NFL, but I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all to especially lead a rookie, whether that be Tyler Warren, Elijah Arroyo, some guy like that, to be a star tight end in the NFL. If we get Dallas Goedert, and again, like I said, I don't want to trade for a tight end, but if we were to get a guy like Dallas Goedert, I wouldn't hate it for the world, especially because Goddard has proved himself in the NFL. Goddard has been a top tight end in this league for at least a few years now. And if he can mentor a guy like, if the Jets do trade Warren, or excuse me, if the Jets do trade for Goddard, I don't see the Jets getting Warren at 7. I see them if they do get Goddard, they're going to get a tight end later in the draft, whether that be Harold Fannin, Elijah Arroyo, or even a guy like Jackson Hawes, right? And I wouldn't be mad if Dallas Goedert was able to mentor them in a way that could shape them into a good tight end in the future. But, if we were to trade for a tight end, like I said a few times on the show, I don't want to. Number one option to trade for.
Chris, what is your stance here on this situation?
I don't really think we're gonna get a back. I mean, I agree with Jack 100% there. I don't think we're gonna do this, but if they do, I think that means they're set on taking another prospect at 7. Specifically, Membu. But I really like Warren. I think he's gonna be a top tight end. So I don't think there's any need to go out and get any other tight ends when you have a guy who's could be top 3 position sitting there for you. So you grab him.
Josh.
Yeah, a couple good points made by Chris and Jack. I'm kind of just going to combine a couple of their points here. It's that I think if you get Dallas Goedert or Noah Fant, you wouldn't go Warren there at 7 because it just wouldn't make sense to give up that value for a veteran guy when you know he's going to come in and be the certified number 2 tight end. That's just not something I want to trade for, especially because even though he's going to bring locker room value, he's not going to show much on the field as a tight end too. If you do get a young guy later in the draft, 3rd, 4th round, Fannin Jr., talking about guys, later in that draft, I wouldn't mind it just as maybe a mentor thing for 1 year, but I wouldn't give up much.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Gonna stay on here a little longer, so last chance to your memberships, super chats, questions. Last chance to call in. We appreciate you as always. I wanted to pull up my mock draft here earlier today let me get this. See that I released earlier today for jetsxfactor.com. And I want to we're going to go pick by pick here. I want to get everyone's thoughts in the chat, and I want to get your guys' thoughts here. So where are we? Oh, here. All right, perfect. All right, so my scenario today, trading Breece Hall was the scenario, and I know Chris loves that. So trading Breece Hall was the motive kind of behind the picks that I made. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I took Genty 7, pretty much. I laid out the stats, and these are the reasons there. I pretty much spoke about all those reasons I pretty much spoke about here. So that's why I took Genty. Now I want to start getting into it. So you trade Breece Hall, you address the running back need, you get a generational talent in the first round. Second round, you kind of address the tackle need, Josh Connerly Jr., and someone who didn't have a ton of experience playing at right tackle in college, but could definitely shift over there and play right tackle. So I think Connerly could be that guy and help solidify all 5 spots of this offensive line. Jack, thought on the Josh Connerly pick here?
I really like the idea of getting an offensive tackle in this draft, especially if we're not going to go an offensive tackle at 7. Like I said, I don't want to go with an offensive tackle. I want to go Warren. I'm a Warren warrior all the way through and through. So I would actually like to get a tackle later in the draft, whether that be Josh Connerly from Oregon. I think if he fills out our right tackle position well, I wouldn't regret it one bit because, like we said, he's like you said, he doesn't have the best experience, but what we've seen out of him is good things coming out of Oregon, right? And I think that you need to address this tackle position somewhere in the draft, and I don't want it to be the first round. So I'm not mad with this at all.
Josh?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think if you do trade Breece Hall, I guess you do end up taking running back Genty there at 7, and then you do get offensive tackle. Obviously, not going to be as good as Membu or Campbell, who you could get in the first round, but that is not to overlook the guy that Josh Connerly is. 2 sacks in his entire college career. He was a lockdown tackle for Oregon. He played well in the pass and the run. Overall, well-rounded guy. Wouldn't hate it there. At what do you have him 42?
Yeah, second round. Chris?
Well, I'm not too familiar with Josh Connerly as a prospect in general, but let's say, God forbid, we take Genty at 7. I'd like to see them address pass catcher as soon as possible after that, because I think we need safety nets for Justin Fields in forms of tight end and receiver. But I see that. But I want to do it as soon as possible to get as high quality starters as possible. So whether it be tight end or receiver in the second, then we can go tackle or defensive tackle in the third and fourth. But I think the priorities in this draft are tight end and receiver, and that's what I think the best position we can put. We need to put Justin Fields in the best position to succeed. Excuse me.
Yeah, and Chris, what I will say is I was going to take a pass catcher. I always do a simulation and then if it's a good one, I'll write it up for a mock draft article. I was going to take Higgins in the second round. He was off the board, though. So who am I going to take? Elijah Arroyo, who I think is a very, very overrated prospect in this year's draft, like any other wide receiver. So I waited till 73, and I picked Jack Besh. Jack, what are your thoughts on the Besh pick here?
That's not bad, right? Like Chris said, I'd rather address the receiver position earlier. Besh isn't bad. TCU, great receiver for them. I have nothing against him. I just feel like that we should have, like you said, a lot of the guys you wanted to go after were gone before Jack Besh. However, in a case scenario that they weren't, Jaden Higgins, a guy that I would go with maybe at 42 if he's available. Or a guy like, let's say, Trey Harris from Ole Miss. He's a guy that I would love to go after in the second round as well. Maybe even a guy like Matt Golden late in the first if we decide to trade up from our second round pick to maybe late in the first. If a guy like Agbuka or Golden is still there from mid to late first round, that's just where I stand on that.
It's just not the year you need to do that.
What?
Yeah, I don't
what?
get.
I think you need to get
using,
pass catches available.
Not the year to get talent, not the year to make sure you give Justin Fields the best chance to succeed.
So
No.
you're saying give up future assets to have a mediocre pass catcher in the end of the
To
first
move up.
round?
less than 10 spots.
I'm with you, Josh. 1000%. I don't get that at all.
Not
What's
the
the
year.
point of that, Chris?
Not the year, Chris. That'll be a great wide receiver next year. You don't have to force it this year. You really don't.
What I was saying to trade back into the first round. So like my dream scenario for this draft is to get Warren, and you trade back into the late first round to get either Agbuka or Golden Tate. So, or not Golden Tate. My bad. Misspoke there.
Golden
Misspoke there.
Tate.
Confused him with the guy. Confused him with the speedster wide receiver. That's my bad. But yeah, trade back to the first round and get one of these receivers. So I think
Abuka's going to be there at
Chris.
42.
Chris, this is the first time in the Jets timeline since the day you acquired Aaron Rodgers when you don't need to force a big move. So chill out, draft at 42. You'll have guys there. You don't need to give up all these assets to trade up a couple picks to get, wide receivers next year. There'll be wide receivers in the second, the third, the fourth round. So they might not be as great, but this is the 1 year in the past 2 or 3 where you don't need to force it. Past 2.
I'm not saying you need to force it. I'm just saying you get talent and you can
giving up future.
The way this team is competent and the way this team is good this year is if we come out of this draft with quality starters.
Trading into the first round and getting another wide receiver in the late round is forcing it.
You can get a more than quality starter and with the 42nd overall pick.
Okay, that's why I said it was a dream scenario.
So it's a dream scenario. You want it to happen.
Yes.
Why is that?
I still because I want to get premium starters. Warren is a premium starter. Don't even get me started on him.
You can get a wide receiver.
Yeah. You can get a wide receiver in one of the later rounds. You don't have to trade. You can even get a wide receiver at 42. There's a chance Abuka's even there at 42.
Small.
I don't even know if
I would not count on it.
I don't even know if I take him. I might take Higgins over Abuka at 42 if it came down to both those guys. I really, really like Higgins.
Just add bodies to this receiver room, man. Just keep on adding.
Okay, so you can get one of those guys in one of the later rounds.
Fine.
You're saying your dream scenario, you want it to happen anyways. Keeping it going. Jets address safety need here after we trade Bruce Hall. The Jets get Lathan Ransom in return from Ohio State. Jack, thoughts here?
I think we need to adjust the safety position, right? Whether that be a guy like Malachi Starks, maybe if we trade up in the first, which I don't think is going to happen, or a guy like Kevin Winston from Penn State. I don't mind the pick here. It's just I'd rather, like I said, maybe try to get a guy like Kevin Winston to maybe solidify your safety room, especially if you have a guy like Andre Cisco, who we just signed for $10 million in free agency. I think Cisco's good. I don't think I fully trust him as a starter yet, which is why I would maybe in the third or fourth round I would love to get a guy like Kevin Winston, but I wouldn't hate this at all though.
Only reason I didn't take Winston is I don't want to draft someone who's coming off an ACL tear. I would rather take someone who is the old reliable, someone who's going to force fumbles for you, someone who's going to be a threat, who's going to be somewhat of a ball hawker for you. That's where I went Ransom here, Josh.
Yeah, it's not a terrible pick. I mean, you need to address the safety room somehow. I guess if at the 85th pick, you're right. Those are both good. They're both good options, but if you want to go the safe route, go the injury-free route. I guess that's a pretty good idea. Had a good, solid season at Ohio State. You're not getting this generational guy, but you're going to get someone who's going to do the job. You're going to get the definition of a fourth-round pick.
Chris?
I'm not gonna say I'm extremely confident, but I'm pretty comfortable that our safety room is reliable as is. I'm not saying that it always helps to add young guys, young talent through the draft, but I'm saying that the first priority we have more important needs than just than safety. So going offensive and defensive tackle is more important up there than obviously pass catcher, tight end, and wide receiver are top 1 and 2 needs.
Yeah, so. I think defensive end might be a better pick there if you do have 85. I don't know who's available at 85 there. So
yeah, no one was available. Unless you were going to reach on David Walker from Central Arkansas.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess so. You're kind of in that in between where those top tier guys have come and gone.
Defensive end is another pick for late in the draft because that's just really depth. You have your two guys there in Jermaine, who's already running.
Jermaine is not your guy. Come on. We don't know what he's going to look like coming off in a kill. Chris, there's no way you can tell me how he's going to play coming off.
I don't know how he's going to play, but you he's running on his full weight now. He still has plenty more
Aaron
time to
Rodgers
recover.
was running. Aaron Rodgers.
You'd rather an interior
He's
offensive
42.
lineman than an
Aaron
edge
Rodgers is
rusher here.
older.
How do you know Jermaine Johnson is going to recover?
I don't know, but I'm saying you don't have to spend high picks on edge rushers because you're not
Have
confident
confidence,
in your game.
Connor. You'd rather go interior here. You at least give it a shot with Jermaine Johnson for a season. If he's not
Sure.
the guy he used to be, he's not the guy he used to be. But you have to give it a shot. You can't just go in with the mentality saying he's going to suck because he got injured.
And Jermaine has
I'd
a
much
mentality too.
rather
You
go-
can't rely on him to be your number 2 guy after he's coming off an Achilles tear.
Okay, and they don't have a number 2
The
guy at
Lions
the
are relying on
defensive
Aiden
line. That's why
Hutchinson
I'd go
this year.
defensive line because they literally don't have one.
Chris, they have more than just the defensive line that leads them to win football games. Another thing here, okay. Name me the Jets' edges right now, guys, please, behind Will McDonald and the person who's coming off an Achilles tear.
Clemens.
I'm here.
Well, Clemens.
After that, because he's not going to be on the
That's
roster.
why I said you spend late round picks this year, but by no means are you spending as high as second or third on.
I didn't
edge.
take an edge though.
I know, but I'm saying we're talking about it. I'm saying no to edge until later.
Next up, my favorite pick of this whole draft, Harold Fannin Jr. Chris, I'll go to you first here.
We were watching Harold Fannin film. There's obviously impressive stuff shown on display by him. I feel like he had a chance to get a lot better production because he's playing than Warren. Well, not even a lot better. He had a chance to get good production because he was playing against some not great schools. Again, we did see him flash his skill set against good schools as well, though. But mostly he was playing against bad competition. But what I'm saying is he's not limited to just only being good against them. He can play against good competition too. So I'm saying I like Harold Fannin, but I think Warren is you don't pass on Warren at 7. I think Warren is miles better. I think he's going to be a much better tight end. Harold Fannin could be like a top 15 tight end. Warren is going to be top 5 because he just comes in and Warren is just a total locker room and football guy. You don't pass on players like him. He is generational. He's going to come in. He's going to be our George Kittle. And these tight ends like George Kittle, all these tight ends, Brock Bowers. I mean, not Brock Bowers. What's his name? Gronkowski, Travis Kelce. They didn't put up that great of numbers in college. They developed into their skill set in the NFL. So I'm confident in Warren at 7. I don't think I like Harold Fannin, but I think Warren is much better.
You're not using a first-round pick on Harold Fannin. You're not using a top 10 pick on Fannin. I also think there's a realm where they can go Warren and Fannin. I would rather use a 4th-round pick on someone who killed Tyler Warren's school and went off for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns again. Okay, Chris, he went off for 100. That game, Harold Fannin put up better numbers against Penn State's defense than Tyler Warren did against Bowling Green's defense. I'm not saying Harold Fannin's better than Tyler Warren, but I'd take the 4th-round value there all day, Jack.
I can see where you're coming from, right? But I feel like Tyler Warren, for me, I always say this. I sound like a broken record now, but a 4-1 package. I know you don't like when I say that.
He's a 2-1. He's a guy who can catch passes who needs to develop into a blocker.
Still, I still think all those block mechanics are off. That's why
blocking mechanics, but he could still block.
What, did you see that CBS Sports video where he played 5 positions in a game and he snapped the ball, so he's going to be the starting center?
Hold on, wait. This is my
no. He's a guy who can catch passes for you, who can block, but needs to develop into a good blocker. He's nothing more.
Which is what leads me into my next point here, right?
Also
This is why you draft a guy like Jackson Hawes in the 6th. I would love to use a guy like Tyler Warren's athleticism in our team, and then maybe have a guy like Jackson Hawes who could be your blocking tight end. Those two go hand in hand. If you have a guy who can throw, if you have a guy who can catch, you have a guy who can run, then you have another guy in Jackson Hawes who can block. Bingo, you got your match right there. I love Harold Fannin. I love his athleticism, but you got to go the smart route here and go. You got to get the best available guy in this draft. I love the way that Tyler Warren plays, and I love the way that Jackson Hawes plays. I think if you get those two in the draft, that's a lock on your tight end position right there.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, everyone. Okay, how do we do this? Wait, why? Okay, there. All right, give me 1 second. I need to address this, Jack. 4-in-1 player. You have to address this.
Look, I think he has a lot of things to him. Like you said, he used to be a quarterback. I think he can throw. I know you say a lot of guys can throw, but I think he can throw very well. I think you could put him in a package, something along the lines of Derrick Henry's right up the middle, squirm him into the end zone package. You got to get him into there taking direct snaps from the off center. I think that could, do really good yards for us. Like if you get 5 yards, if you could just think of it this way, you get 5 yards per play, that's an easy touchdown, right? Because you get 5 yards, that's an automatic first down. You just get 2 yards. You just need to get 5 yards per play. Easy first down, drive down the
You're
field.
saying Tyler Warren is going to rush for the Jets on every single drive, and
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in a scenario.
Tyler Warren's going to get the Jets 5 rushing yards per attempt.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
you
right.
just said that though.
Okay, I'm just saying. You're saying literally. You're saying that you will rush every single play. I'm saying if you give the ball to Tyler Warren to rush, he will give you.
He has the ability.
Yardage.
Josh, get in there.
He has the ability
one
to
package. He's a tight end. You legitimately think
block, catch, 4-in-1 package. It's not crazy.
I'm saying he's gonna pass.
Chris, you're talking. Chris, you can't.
What do you think they're gonna run? Wildcat everywhere? They're gonna run. They're gonna run end around reverse so Tyler Warren can chuck it downfield because he was a high school quarterback. So let's have him start at quarterback for the Jets. He's a 4-in-1 package because he played quarterback in high school.
You want to make
good idea.
Chris, this is funny because you're talking about making this offense exciting. Okay, you got a generational talent at the running back position in the first round who ripped off nearly 2,000 yards after contact and averaged 7 yards per carry. Oh my! You're telling me that's not electrifying? You're talking about
he's maybe 2-1.
Oh, and
the other two you guys are making up.
Whoa.
Tyler,
what do you mean making up? It's not. It brings value to the offense,
he's not legit. You legitimately think he's going to regularly pass the football.
Great point. Chris, is Stone Smart a 3-in-1 package?
You could see Warren throw on wildcat plays and be a threat.
Stone Smart was a quarterback at ODU. Don't sleep on Stone Smart. He was a quarterback at ODU. He played quarterback in college. 3-in-1 player for the Jets. He's gonna be a
good point. We appreciate it.
That was okay. That doesn't mean anything.
So it doesn't mean anything.
We saw Warren throw.
Trick
plays are valuable. You saw what
he had one completion.
We saw Stone Smart throw at the college level.
It doesn't matter.
So you're saying it doesn't matter that Stone Smart could throw? Okay, cool. It doesn't matter that Tyler Warren could throw.
Tyler Warren's a tight end. He doesn't throw the football. This is such a dumb argument.
You can't say he's a 4-in-1.
Wait. Chris, you are judging him. Hold on. Let me talk here. You are judging this draft prospect that you want to get with the 7th overall pick, this generational guy. And you're telling me one of the main reasons you want to draft this tight end at number 7 is because he has the ability to pass the ball.
It's gravy.
It's gravy?
It's extra. You get him mainly, obviously, for his ability to catch and block. But then also he provides rushing ability. You can see him on.
So why are you guys saying 4-in-1 like he's the best at all of them?
But he has the ability to do all these things. It is a 4-in-1 package. Like
Stone Smart's a 3-in-1 package. You can run the ball with Jeremy Rucker.
Did you see Stone Smart throw in college?
You could put Stone Smart as a safety and let him get an interception. He's a 5-in-1 package now.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are going way too far.
Get it.
You guys want to talk about making this offense exciting? Like I said, how about you bring in the running back who is a generational talent? How about you bring in the wide receiver who shattered basically every single FBS single season record, whether it was touchdown yards or whatever it was just an absolute weapon for this for this Bowling Green team and was able to dominate.
Bowling Green sucks. He's probably the only good weapon on their team.
He went off for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He's the only good player on their team. Of course, they're gonna feed him.
Who else was playing alongside Tyler Warren? Who were his other pass catchers? Come on.
Penn State's
they ran the ball though.
No, you said
no, they ran the ball.
No, you were saying
I'm not a Penn State fan. I don't know Penn State's entire depth chart, but they're a much better school. They're obviously ranked a lot higher. They're actually in the playoffs, so they have to have much better weapons. Warren, Harold Fenn.
No, I'm with Chris on this one. Number one, they play.
I'm not saying Harold Fannin is a better tight end than Tyler Warren. I'm saying the 4th round value is better than the 1st round.
Warren will be a top 5 tight end. I'm not letting that slip out from my hands at 7. I'm sorry.
Kobe King, a fellow Penn State player, fittingly, the best Penn State player, comes in, linebacker. They need to beef up the linebacker corps. Go to Jack here. Jack, how do you feel about this?
I like the pick, right? Like you said, we need to beef up the linebacker core, this linebacker room, right? My personal preference here is Chris Paul from Ole Miss, and I really
He's a
love
third round pick.
third round pick. All right, so I'm just saying, my personal preference, if we were to pick a tight end or excuse me, linebacker in this draft, it would be Chris Paul. I don't mind the pick here at 145 with Kobe King. I think he has a lot of upsides, a lot of upside for this team here. Especially because you need to get depth in this linebacker room, right? Especially if we just re-sign Jamin Sherwood. We don't know what the future is with Quincy Williams. I want the Jets to get at least, it doesn't matter who, doesn't matter what round. I just want the Jets to at least get a linebacker in this draft class, whether that be my personal preference, Chris Paul, or Kobe King, like the guy on the screen here.
Chris, I'm gonna go to you, but before that, we gotta how Gary has the Brock Bowers video on Jake's show. We gotta get you a Tyler Warren one. But how do you feel about this pick?
I like this pick. I think we do need to add a bruiser, linebacker who weighs a lot, who's gonna be a stonewall type of guy alongside our two fast guys who are light and quick, go and play downhill, can get from both ends of the field. But now we need a bigger linebacker who can actually bruise people. So I'm all for this pick, getting him in the later rounds after we address pass catcher.
Josh.
Yeah, he can be a hard hitter. The missed tackles were a little bit of a problem, but overall, I think he's good value there. Well, what are we talking, 5th round here? So yeah, good value. You do need to add to the linebacker room after CJ Mosley retired. I mean, you're working with Chaz Surratt right now, Quincy Williams. So.
He's not. Chaz Surratt isn't even re-signed yet. I think it's like Jamin Davis behind those guys and Zaire Barnes.
Yeah, so you got to get somebody.
Yeah. Next up, Jackson Hawes. Jack.
I love this pick. Absolutely love this pick. Like I said a few minutes ago, Warren and Hawes, baby. There you go. You got your tight end room complete. Hawes is an amazing, amazing blocker in this tight end draft. Arguably the best blocking tight end in this draft. I think that's exactly what we need, especially with this new quarterback in Justin Fields, this mobile quarterback. I believe the Jets are going to run a run-first offense this year, and I feel like a blocking tight end is exactly what you need to fill some holes here, especially with the blocking mechanisms, especially if we need to fill these problems on our right tackle spot. If we don't get the perfect right tackle, get Jackson Hawes. Maybe he can provide some great blocking for you, and I love the idea of getting a blocking tight end in this draft, especially if we're going to go the running gun route, ground and pound route this year for our offense.
What do you like about Jackson Hawes that much as a blocker, Jax? I like Jackson Hawes. I think he's a solid blocker. I like Jalen Conyers from Texas Tech a lot as just that pure blocking guy who also shows you some value as a receiver. I was going to take him, but he was off the board at this spot in the simulation. What about Jackson Hawes blocking makes him the best?
I love his way to just keep the edge right where he is. I love how he's not able to move the edge I like how he's able to not let the edge move past him. I love how he's able to create a sort of sensible trust between the guys that are going to run behind him. And I think that just what we've seen out of him, he doesn't let anybody by him. He does not let anybody by him. He doesn't let anybody shift by him. And you could say maybe some people say he holds. I don't think he does at all. I think he's just is a really good job chopping his feet. Never stops moving his feet. Always keeps his hands inside the guy, especially press on his chest like that. You got to have the right blocking mechanics, and I think that's what Jackson Hawes has.
Chris? I think Jackson Hawes is a perfect fit in the 6th round to perfectly fill out this tight end room. We have Warren, who's going to do it all basically for us in the tight end room, catching passes. Then we have Hawes, who's going to be a blocker who you can more develop into a wide receiver. So yeah, I like this pick, and I'm all for it.
Now, Josh, I want to go to you first next year on this.
Yeah, you were teasing me with this one, weren't you? You kept scrolling down.
I did a little. You cover South Carolina fan. Tonka Hemingway is someone I've been eyeing for a while, had a great Shrine Bowl. Talk to us about Hemingway here for a little.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Tonka Hemingway, he's a guy that is an absolute beast on the interior. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sorry.
You're just cutting. He's cutting in and out.
On the interior. He wreaks havoc. He just comes up. He shoots the A gap with a lot of speed, a lot of strength. He has great mechanics. He can fold a quarterback. He is not afraid to hit hard. He forces the turnovers. He's actually pretty fast for his size, I believe. He had a strip sack return to the house, but the thing with Tonka Hemingway is he was playing on a great defensive line, probably the best in the country. So what's it going to look like when he's isolated off that with Quinnen Williams and what we talked about, a depthless defensive line that the Jets have right now? I don't really know because offensive line had their hands full with the South Carolina front last year on the defensive end. What he's going to look like on his own isolated, I'm really not sure, but his ability to power through the A-gap is phenomenal. I'll tell you that.
There we go. Great insight on Hemingway. We'll wrap up with this last one here quickly. I think we can all agree that the Jets could use drafting a kicker. How about the Jets roll with some perfection? 13-13 for Ryan Fitzgerald. 5'5" with 50 yards or longer with a long of 59 yards. Jack, thoughts on taking a kicker?
Absolutely love it. I think you guys know what I'm about to say here, right? About Greg
my
Zuerlein. Get him out of New Jersey as soon as possible. Don't want to see his face back in this MetLife Stadium building. I would take anybody at this point. Even
Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren. We'd rather have Tyler Warren over here.
I'd have Tyler Warren kick the ball over Greg
8-1.
Zuerlein here. Yeah, I'd rather have anybody at this point kick over Zuerlein. Get Fitzgerald. I think he's a solid kicker. I'd rather have anybody really only over Zuerlein at this point.
Chris,
Verbatim what Jack said.
Josh.
Yeah, I mean anybody's better than. What can Tyler Warren learn how to kick? Because if Greg Zuerlein's the other option,
Hey, he'll be a 6-1 by then, or what is it? Can he
8-1. Jimmy Jets had him on the return team. On the hands team too.
What can he do?
He's a coach now. He's 9-1.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Now he's at 9. Might as well make
By
him
the way,
double digits.
wait, Jack, did you hear during Josh? Did you hear during Pop Warner? He played one snap of defensive back. He's your starting cornerback now, opposite Sauce Gardner. You can cut Brandon Stevens. You could trade him. Played one snap in Pee Wee at defensive back.
He's Travis Hunter. He plays both ways.
Yeah, let's go.
He's Shohei
Two-way
Ohtani.
star Tyler Warren. Two-way star Tyler Warren. Oh yeah, and Chris adds another. Jimmy adds another one here. Says he can scout 10-1. Hey, I also heard he was like the general manager for his.
You're dragging it.
Little league teams.
Let me guess what's next. He can long snap 11-1.
13-1. What can he do? That's the question. He's an
13-1.
everything in one player. Yeah. So
That's
he can
the dream
throw, he
record
can
right
run,
there.
he can catch, he can block.
I don't know why you guys are so obsessed with that take. All I'm saying is he brings a lot
Shit,
more.
make
to
him
the
the
table than
owner.
just
There we go.
DPI.
Better than Woody Johnson.
13-1.
Yeah, good point, Jimmy.
Okay.
I'll take anybody over Woody.
There we go. We appreciate you all tuning in on this Friday evening. We'll get some Jets talk in here. Chris and I back, and we should do this again. Jack and Josh, you guys are around tomorrow at 9:30.
Oh yeah, of course.
Hop on with us.
Actually, no. Wait. On second thought,
I am.
I'll let you know, Connor. I may not be, but I'll let you know.
Are you
think I
good for
will
the
be.
Sunday show?
Of course, yeah. I'm good for the Sunday
Alright,
show.
Perfect. Appreciate you all. Last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in here. Last chance to get your raffle entries, membership, super chats. Super fun show, Chris.
Oh, you guys obviously got me fired up tonight. All these crazy,
15-1.
all these
15-1.
crazy takes that I'm not even gonna address. But yeah, Warren is a guy at 7. Don't sleep on Fields. He's not just a bridge guy. Gonna be the face of the franchise. Watch. If not him, then Nico Iamaleava or whatever, however I pronounce his name.
Oh
if
my
not,
God.
if not Justin Fields, then take my guy next year, baby. Nico Iamaleava.
Yo, Connor, I know I'm Mr. South Carolina, but can we get Lenora Sellers for 2026 Jets
I'll
quarterback
take him
in the
over
chat?
Nico.
He
I'll
sucks.
take him over Nico. I'll take him over Nico any day, bro. Nico.
Chris, haven't you bought a jersey already?
I'm good.
Haven't you bought a Nico jersey?
It's coming.
I don't. He's such.
You
a
got it
ball player.
customized?
They sell it, buddy. He's a top 5 quarter. He's
That's
gonna be
glazed on another level.
He's not even
NFL.
Chris.
Wait,
Here's the funniest
you
thing.
bought a Jets jersey of him, even though they haven't.
Oh,
He's not even in the draft.
No.
No, that would be
Oh,
like
okay,
Lincoln
okay,
Finest
okay.
if you want.
I
Here's
thought
the
you bought a
thing. Here's
Jets
the
jersey and then
thing, Chris. He's not even going to come out next year. He's not even going to come
He's
out.
gonna have an
next year.
incredible season, and he's gonna be pushed out by the 5-star recruit, whatever his name is, Fazon or something like that.
He's going to be pushed out. They don't want him there anymore. He's going to transfer
It's a
somewhere
good
for
year.
his final
Oh,
season.
you guys can just wait and see on him. I'll
Josh,
watch
any final
Order.
thoughts?
snap on him.
Lenore
Josh, any
Sellers
final
for
thoughts?
Jets quarterback 2026. Not on a serious note, though. Guys, great show. I liked what we did. Connor, your mock draft was pretty well put together. I think you had
Appreciate
about
you,
15
sir.
and 1 good points, if I had to guess.
Good
Yeah,
point.
great show,
Great.
guys.
Love the pun there, Jack. What do you got?
Yeah, I love doing this show with you guys. Connor, I'm very thankful you reached out to me. I'm, love doing this show with you guys. Josh, love doing this with you every Friday. Connor, Chris, love doing this with you guys every Sunday. And, I'm just, really thankful. Thank you guys so much for having me on for another episode tonight.
Of course, no problem. That'll do it for us. A great panel show. We're back tomorrow 9:30. I'm back on the channel at 5 o'clock with our draft analyst, Cole Thompson. So stay tuned for that. Jack Cotter, Josh Welliver, Chris Grasso, Connor Long saying that's all here on this Friday evening. Appreciate you tuning in. JETS.
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 Peace.